I believe what's going to take down this country as a free and sovereign individual is probably going to happen at the earliest about the middle of next decade through the end of the next decade. That's what I view as the major threat. I think it's going to be a preemptive nuclear strike against America by Russia and China. They're building for it. They practice for it. Every military exercise begins with a simulated nuclear attack on America. Now, they're not doing that just because they're our allies or because they just want to practice. They are intending to strike, both of them. China's that far out. She's not ready. Russia has got all the technology, but it doesn't have enough of the actual technology built into weapon systems yet to strike. So they're about 5 or 6 years out. China's about 8 years out. It's my feeling that they'll come in junction, but they're both predator states. They will both attack each other sometime during the war. And that's how the globalists intend to win, is by inducing China to attack Russia's rear sometime in the war. But remember, I think America will have a devastating nuclear attack. I think we'll be back into the dark ages there for about 6 months to a year before electricity gets fully reestablished because of all of the EMP strikes. And then the nuclear strikes will not hit all cities, probably only a dozen to 15 cities, plus about 3,000 other military targets around the world. Communications, intelligence stations, we've got soldiers and troops everywhere, and most of them in any large concentration are going to get hit. This is meant to bring Americans like you to your knees and say, oh, you know, we're just without power anymore. What do we do? And our leaders will come out of their bunkers, say the Russians deceived us. We didn't know this was happening. That's a lie, by the way. They know it's going to happen. They're inducing it to happen. And they'll say, we have no military. Our only hope now, under the name of God, country, and the Constitution, is to give our powers to the United Nations to save us. And that's how we'll get ourselves fully integrated into a new world order. And unlike World War II, where they gave back the powers, we won't get back any powers. And I'll tell you the reason. I think what they're doing, they're going to have Red China switch sides. And just like Russia became the Cold War enemy after World War II, China will become the Cold War enemy and start to threaten, and the United Nations will say, oh, we can no longer give up our weapons or militarization because we have this big threat, and only our unified armies are big enough to tackle China. And Americans will buy it, and that's why we'll never get our liberty back. But I believe that there will be a remnant of resistors, a very, very significant, of several million people that won't go along, and they will be forced, this is my personal opinion, in this conflagration, in this nuclear, and it won't be a nuclear winter, that's an anti-war false notion. You'll actually recover fairly rapidly from the nuclear effects. They dissipate that rapidly. We won't recover from the social unrest that is caused. If you're in major metropolitan areas, you're going to be under severe stress and difficulty trying to survive the starvation and the famine. Nobody's businesses will be operating. It will be back to barter. And we're probably less than 10 years away from that scenario. Now, I wouldn't wait a full 10 years to get prepared for that, but that's going to be God's judgments on the land, and we will never be free again. It's out of that scenario that the need for a new Jerusalem arises, to have a place of safety as the tyranny of government starts to suppress the several million resistors. There'll be a test oath in my case, in my estimate. And this is where the biblical mark of the beast comes in. I don't know what the nature of the mark is, but the key point is not a number or anything else. The key is the fact that you'll be made to take an oath of allegiance to this New World Order government, or you will not be allowed to buy or sell or be a dentist or a doctor or teach in a university or do anything except work underground. And that's what's going to be the hardship. That's why I encouraged you to study law and principles, because we will have the opportunity. There will be pockets of resistance where we'll be actually in the majority in certain smaller areas, and other people will stream from other areas in the United States to join with those people, where there'll be rumors of liberty. And we have to know how to establish those. That's how I view these things. So it's not all is lost. I think there'll be great judgments, and not everyone will survive, but we need to prepare. We need to be prepared to come out from underneath the rubble and reestablish a society. Our first and foremost obligation is to ourselves and our family to do what's right and get prepared. You have been warned. Now, I may be right, I may not be right about timing, but I'll tell you, I am not wrong about this country getting attacked someday. As sure am I living here, sure as I am standing here, we're going to have a major attack against this United States. And if you think food storage is enough, you're not going to be prepared. It's a much broader range of things. It doesn't take a lot of money, but it does take some learning skills. You've got to be able to develop the skills. If you're a one-skill person, you're not going to do well when the society breaks down. You've got to be able to fix everything. You've got to be able to trade. You've got to be healthy. You've got to stockpile things that you need, and that means get off of your medicines. They're not going to be available. Learn natural health.